And what is true is that there are people right now who are dying who have nothing to do with what Hamas did. And what is true, right? I mean, we can go on for a while. And the problem with the social media and trying to TikTok activism and trying to debate this on that is you can't speak the truth. You can pretend to speak the truth. You can speak one side of the truth. And in some cases, you can try to maintain your moral innocence, but that won't solve the problem. And so if you want to solve the problem, then you have to take in the whole truth. And you then have to admit nobody's hands are clean, that all of us are complicit to some degree.
I'm actually going to stop it there because I think it's a perfect place to stop, given he talks about complicity. Dr. Finkelstein, your reaction.
My first reaction is I wish he would stop rolling up his sleeves, because he hasn't been a community organizer for about 40 years. And even when he was a community organizer, it was for about 2.5 years. And he just became a community organizer to pad his resume so he can get into Harvard Law School. So that's my first reaction. My second reaction is actually what he says is true. I'm not going to dispute that, but there's no bottom line. It's just this is true and that's true and this is true and that's true, and it doesn't get us anywhere. It just it's a laundry list. Barack Obama it's Barack Obama. He doesn't say anything. He's such a zero that he's a -1. The only place where I've studied him quite closely in a book I just wrote. I devoted about 150 pages to his presidency. The only thing he seemed to have any kind of real facility in was basketball, and he did know the game. He does know the game. But once you get past the basketball court, you might as well talk to an avocado.
What's up, guys?
Wow.
An avocado. My go-to usually is potato, but I like avocado.
Yeah, avocado's trendy. You know, you
That
can
was,
put it on toast and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Norman Finkelstein, who is a longtime critic of Israel and a scholar. His parents survived the Holocaust, and he's well, it'd be a long story getting into his academic work, but he was being interviewed by this guy, Danny Haifang, who's done a lot of coverage of all these foreign wars and stuff. And when I saw this interview, I was like, man, that's the zinger of the week right there.
Yeah. But I mean, just hearing Obama again, I was like, oh my God, he doesn't, like, just like I said, does not say anything.
It was so bland. And actually, you know, I mean, we cut out that was Norman Finkelstein doesn't give short remarks. And there was a little blip in the middle where it quickly faded to white, or I think black actually. But what Finkelstein had been saying in the middle of that was, you know, first off, I mean, obviously the conditions in Israel didn't really, in Palestine didn't change at all during any part of the Obama administration. But one of the big operations that happened, it was called Operation Cast Lead, which is a wonderful name for an event where, you know, 1,500 people were killed and 350 children. And it was launched on November, I believe, the 4th of 2008, the day Barack Obama won the election, conveniently when there's going to be no news coverage about it whatsoever. And it ended like 3 days before Obama's inauguration, because he didn't want all this stuff in the news as he's being inaugurated. So he literally just called up Israel and said, knock it off, end this right now. I don't want this to be happening while I'm being inaugurated. Could have called him, like, you know, a couple of weeks earlier, but no, he waited until right before the inauguration and said, all right, it's time to end this right now. I don't want to have any more to do with this. And then, you know, 3/4 of the way into Obama's presidency, they had another operation, a bigger one even, called Operation Protective Edge. You know, 2,200 people killed, 500 civilian children killed. And nothing happened whatsoever. So now Obama is retconning, giving advice to Joe Biden. Yeah, well, it's complicated, and every side everybody's wrong, and whatever. So yeah, it did not get a good reception. And I guess the big story today is that Joe Biden's numbers are in the absolute shithouse, which I can't complain about. Because everything is falling apart.
Trump winning. What's the latest poll? Trump winning in 5 out of 6 swing states. I saw. Yeah,
and that's despite being under multiple indictments.
And it was like New York Times, I think. It was some.
Yeah, it was a completely mainstream poll.
Yeah,
and at the same time, Trump's been so busy with all this litigation and charges and everything, he hasn't been able to campaign. But sadly, folks, there is another Republican presidential debate coming up next Wednesday. I do not want to cover it. I really don't.
I'm not available. I'm going to a concert, so you're on your own if you do it.
I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to a concert on Thursday, which is not Wednesday night, but I still don't want to do a show on Wednesday.
No, didn't we say we weren't going to do it again?
I think we did. But then there was people in the chat who were like, I really, really want you to cover the show, the debate. I wouldn't have watched if you guys didn't cover it. I don't know what in the world we would even have to talk about. It's going to just be a neocon desperation fest. That knows what Ron DeSantis might say. Who knows what Vivek's going to say, for that matter. The last
quiet, or unless I just haven't been paying attention.
Well, he made that lovely remark a week or so ago, saying that he'd love to see Hamas leaders' heads put on spikes. Which, by the way, folks, in case you're not clear, that is a war crime. You're not allowed to desecrate the bodies of enemy soldiers, no matter what you think they did. That's still a war crime.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like Game of Thrones garbage too. So Vivek is just saying whatever I think he thinks is going to be popular.
Yeah, who knows?
But Phil Knight says we've had enough debate. I agree. This race is over. The only thing moderately interesting is what percentage Nikki Haley's going to get, which is the neocon vote, basically.
Yeah, but not everybody else has dropped out yet and fallen in line. Are they waiting?
Well, typically a few people dropped out for the first contest. Then, Pence dropped out already. Bye-bye. But who knows? Doug Burgum's a billionaire, so he's a self-funder.
Yeah.
So who knows how long he'll stay in the race, as long as his ego allows him to spend his money. You have Tim Scott, who's going to throw in the towel probably after Iowa or New Hampshire, one of those two. Probably same story with Chris Christie. You'll get someone that hangs around. But it's clear the neocons have their candidate, and that's going to be Nikki Haley. So there's no other role for any other candidate to have. Ron DeSantis, I'm sorry, you're a good governor. Running for president was probably a bad idea in the first place, but he didn't have any place to fit in. He was running as I'm like Trump, but I'm better than Trump because I followed through with my promises in Florida, and that was great. Except then that got him no neocon money. And then he started equivocating and going along with the neocon line about Ukraine and everything.
Yeah, and then
else.
everybody went crazy about his boots. What was that?
His boots?
Yeah, does he wear heels or lifts or something?
I don't remember that story. I vaguely
it was all
remember
over Twitter all week.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, and
Whatever.
They were ripping the poor guy.
Yeah, well.
They're counting, and they're all hanging on because they're counting. They think Trump's going to be forced to not run. That's what they're hoping for. And hanging on for.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it's more likely Joe Biden's forced out of the race than Trump is forced out of the race, though.
Joe Biden probably. Once they start, when it's too late to have a primary, he'll drop out, and then they'll just pick somebody. Probably Whitmer.
Phil Knight says Perry dropped out.
Perry Johnson dropped out.
When I saw that, I almost thought Rick Perry, was he running? Oh, hey, we have another guest joining us. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, yeah, woo!
Good.
Things?
Long time no see.
I know, it's been busy.
Fun of Biden, although we do have some bad news from the state legislature to cover this week. But I did this stream I was going to do a stream with Shane Trejo with talking about geopolitics and stuff on Wednesday, and it was just a comedy of technical problems going on my end. I have no idea why. I have no idea what changed or fixed that. As it happened the other day on after the stream on Friday, I ended up installing a new rug in my living room. So I took everything apart on my desk and on my computer and everything else. And maybe that fixed it, or maybe
Hey, Jamie Green.
Maybe the
Jamie
stream
Green's
gods.
online.
Yeah, Jamie Green's here. Welcome,
Send
Jamie.
her a
Good to
link.
hear from you. Super bad news. Yes, it is. It has been super bad news in Lansing this week. And we will get to that. But just to finish the thought, there's been a few things going on in the national media with global events, and it's been just nothing but across the board bad. First of all, for Ukraine, there was, and I think I talked about this with Shane, this story where there was this crazy piece in, I think it was Time magazine, talking about Zelensky, and the comparisons between that and downfall were like hard to ignore. I mean, this is, I'll just show you. There's this one article about it. Let me. I will pull it up here briefly. Although this is like one of many. I mean, tons and tons of people were noting this comparison, and this one. The headline is Time magazine profile depicts grim Führer-Runker stage of Zelensky's conflict, and there's this video. Let me see if I can play this. Anyway, this goes on, but you get the idea. I mean, there's been a few developments in the war this week. I mean, mainly nothing but bad news for Ukraine. They got apparently they got ATACMS missiles a week or two ago. It was covertly done. It wasn't broadcast. It was to take the Russians by surprise. These are long-range cruise missiles. Russia intercepted all of them. Russia making grounds every which way. And then there was this, but there was this story in Time magazine where they were covering this whole thing. And the whole story is Zelensky saying that that nothing's going well. And he got these quotes from his advisors. Remember, this is the mass media. So this is a message that's now approved to go to the American public. He's immovable, verging on the messianic. He's deluding himself. We're out of options. We're not winning, but try telling him that. So as this is happening, what are the people in Congress saying? Let's give them more money. Let's give them more weapons. It's mind-boggling. I mean,
that new bill didn't include any money for Ukraine, though, right?
In the House, Mike Johnson seems to be insisting that aid for Israel and Ukraine be kept separate.
And
Biden
he took money from the IRS to give for Israel or something.
That was a smart play. I mean, I don't know.
That was the offset, right? That was the offset.
I am still reserving judgment on Mike Johnson, but that was a smart play. He said, "Okay, yeah, we'll fund Ukraine. Let's just take all the money out of the IRS. Maybe it was Israel. Let's take all the money out of the IRS." That. But yeah, so you got all these comments with what?
Israel
they don't have the weapons. Where are the weapons? Where's the artillery? Where are the new recruits? Frontline commanders refusing offers to advance. I mean, it's just bad to worse all the time, constantly. And it's like, this is a lost cause. Oops, let me go this way. This is better.
That wasn't bad, though. I was like, that wasn't bad.
Whoa, close up.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, the vertical orientation doesn't work so well when there's more than two people. Some streams
do my Women for Trump hoodie today all day. Then I went to Costco in Bloomfield Hills.
How'd that go?
Nice.
I got some good thumbs up. That's what it is. It's kind of encouraging, really.
Yeah, it was probably like this,
yeah.
One was like, "I love your hoodie." I go, "Thanks. Keep voting."
We have a button among various ones that we've made, and it says "Castrate groomers, not kids." And there's this petite woman on our executive committee who wears it everywhere she goes, and she's like, "Man, you wouldn't believe how many conversations I've had about that button."
That's funny.
Amazing. That's all we have to do. And you just have to encourage people and remind them to vote. And now with early voting, it's like, oh my gosh. So today I go to the library in Commerce.
I saw that. But, okay, explain. Yeah, what was that?
So I was so pissed. So we don't have elections in Commerce. And there were signs out for early voting. And I was just taking back a book. So I wasn't going inside or anything. And I get down the road and I'm like, I should know if Commerce has elections. And so I called my friend Shane 11, who's on the school board, and I go, is there anything going on in Commerce? And I think it's weird that I'm asking you this. But like, she goes, no, but you should turn around and ask them. So I did. I turned around again, having this hoodie on, going into the library, going, why is there early voting here? And then they
Yeah.
go, oh, well, Wixom and Walled Lake are voting here. And I'm like, why is Wixom and Walled Lake, it's very inconvenient, coming to Commerce Library for early voting?
That's bizarre.
It's bizarre who's staffing it, who's paying for it. Because if they're using our library, it's our tax dollars in Commerce going to fund Walled Lake, and it's bizarre. So not only do I have to play like, oh, elections in 2 days and voter outreach and all this, I have to now come up with a subcommittee task for people to be like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Have to call my supervisor. Going, why is Wix? I mean, I understand the need for early voting now, but that's just insane. Yeah, I have to talk
Yeah.
to the Oakland County clerk. Great, that's the conversation I want to have.
Yeah, is it
Thanks,
Oakland
man.
County is running it similar to Washtenaw, maybe, Adam, where some of the counties are doing the early voting for everyone?
I don't think that's the case.
In our county, Ann Arbor, and I think also Ypsilanti, refused to have the county administer the early voting. That's an option that some counties are offering because they want to do that kind of consolidation.
Yep, consolidate precincts. Yep. Yeah, and then they're gonna
that's
cry, right?
very
Then they cry,
frustrating.
oh, disenfranchised, the lines are so long. Blah.
Yeah.
Sites
By the way,
but
speaking
then
of,
how does tax dollars get disseminated there?
The money
mean,
goes
that's
to the
my biggest
counties, and
curious.
then the counties apparently are supposed to disperse it to the municipalities
yeah,
if they choose. And then the municipalities can choose to just have the county run their early voting, or they can do it themselves, I think.
So what,
Yeah.
our librarians are giving ballots? Like, I kind of want to go in there and like have a video on them tomorrow. I'll be like, what is the process here? I mean, I'll keep
Ask
on them.
them.
I'm really annoyed. I am.
Ask them for their
I just didn't want to
process, and
really
their-
like have confrontation in this hoodie though.
just wear it all week. So
yeah. By the way, another thing I highly recommend wearing out. It will pay for itself in free drinks at the bar. Is this shirt? And I say that from experience. Yeah. So you can go to rescuemichigan.com. The link's in the footer on all the pages there. You can get the shirt.
We were at a U of M tailgate yesterday, and I couldn't stop thinking about Nestle. Or yeah.
Oh, being wheeled out of there. Yeah.
It was my first time at the big house, so like, yeah, I just had that in the back of my mind.
The state will pay for early voting under Headley. What's Headley, Ron? Do you know
Headley is an amendment.
Headley.
It's an amendment to the state constitution that limits how taxpayer funds can be dispersed, basically, and limits how much taxes can be raised. I don't know how that covers how it would be reimbursed, but I mean, effectively, they're not allowed to have unfunded mandates.
Okay.
So the money is going to come from the state one way or the other. It's just a matter of how they circulate it.
Well, let's get a shout out for Ron. Shout out for Ron Picard. He's running for city council on Tuesday.
Hi,
Cool.
Ron, good luck.
He's been working his ass off, knocking doors and doing the right things. So
yeah, I see Phil Knight in the chat also says librarians are the most radical people. Speaking of that, I got a text just today from one of my friends on the pier saying he was just appointed to the Lapeer County Library Board. So
Laura Loomer. Cool. Oh God, what's she saying?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to click. I don't click on unknown videos and links and stuff in the chat. No offense, Mindy. I'm sorry. I just don't do it. It says for the Trump comment. And someone on Rumble has a link to a banned video. Sorry, guys. I can't just start opening links from the chat if I don't know what they're going to be saying.
That kind of sounds fun. But yeah, I heard that Headley is going to be next on the Radical Dems agenda to try to overthrow the Headley Amendment. I read an article to that effect.
To do that.
Have stopped them before.
True.
5 or 6. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Mindy. We just didn't. Which was the one he's not ahead in?
Someone said maybe Wisconsin. I would think.
Somebody said Wisconsin. I just want to. Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he was doing not as good in Wisconsin as in
Michigan. Type the name of the state.
That's great. I know, and it's gonna be interesting. I mean, right now, I'm not touching the Israel-Palestine thing personally, just because it's not in Oakland County. It doesn't play well.
No,
and our feelings don't matter. I mean, in the long run, honestly, I just don't want war.
You know what? Listen, yeah, we're here for what, 70 years, give or take, 80, maybe.
Yeah, and
That
to get
region
back
has
to the,
been fighting for thousands of years.
well, it hasn't been the conditions that it's under now in quite that long. It's really been, well,
I know, but I'm just saying.
I mean,
like,
there was the 1948 war, there was the 1967 war, and then there was the blockade of Gaza and the West Bank that started in 2006. But anyway, you're right. Fine. I guess we can move on. Although all this being, though, to say that it has been nothing but a series of absolute diplomatic disasters for Joe Biden across the whole world in the past few weeks. And that's been with Israel. That's been with the United Nations. That's been with China. That's been with everybody else. Nobody wants to talk to Joe Biden about anything anymore because he's a thug, basically. And that's not the kind of diplomat people want to deal with. They want to deal with someone that wants to make deals. Someone like, I don't know, someone who's got those
the
deal
art
making
of the
instincts.
deal.
Yeah.
Art of the deal, if you will. Yes. Yeah. We can switch to Lansing though. What a bad week.
Yes, it has been a very, very bad week in Lansing.
You know what?
and
I have a really good question for like Jamie Green and everybody. So, how do you feel like deep down when you go to Lansing, the Dems are ruining everything. They're ramrodding everything through. Doesn't that make you angry? Doesn't that give you a mentality to say, no, F you, I'm not voting for anything anymore that you propose? Because I just don't understand. And I love my reps in Oakland and I will not speak badly about them. However, it is hard to constantly defend some actions. And I am always, no matter what happens at OCRP, we always get blamed. And we don't even make the votes.
Yeah, she says that sort of happened this week. I'm sure Jamie Green is with us on this. Not every Republican lawmaker is, however. And I would just say, and I understand the position you're in, Amber. I'm in a similar one in my county, but I don't know, I kind of get away with more, I guess, in my county than you might. But my policy always is, because we have a state rep who's in part of our county whose voting record is lousy, and I'll talk about it all the time on this show. I don't talk about it at party meetings. I'm not going to use county party resources.
Jesus flipped tables like Real Housewives. What? Remember Jesus flipping the tables?
It's let's not go into what that.
Table.
I know what that's in reference to. I'm not going to bring that up at the moment.
Okay.
Trust me on this one.
I don't want to know now, but I mean, I know the story.
I'll tell you after the show.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, but yeah, there was a lot of votes this week, a lot of very bad votes. Some of them were entirely partisan, where every Republican did the right thing and every Democrat did the wrong thing, but not entirely. And in fact, I think I want to start with a certain somebody who a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the show before we had Representative Carr on, I was talking about this vote on this bill on taxes, and it was a strange vote. It was a vote on the Detroit changing of the land valuation
tax. Equity tax.
Yeah, and it was going to take, it was like an hour and a half, the board was open, and for some reason, Angela Regas never voted one way or the other on it, which seemed out of character for her. But anyway, the board was closed. The Democrats did not have the votes to pass it, which was cool. But someone in the chat made this comment and said, I can't believe, Adam, you would even suggest Angela Regas would vote for any kind of tax increase. Well, lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, here's a vote that just came up this past week on House Bill 5048. What does it do? Well, the official definition of the bill, the official summary: taxation, hotel, motel, allow units to levy a hotel tax. Okay. Who were the 10 Republicans who voted with the Democrats on this? Oh, look at that. Angela Regas did. And by the way, Gina Johnson, who I'd expect better of. This is Phil Green, not Jamie Green. Different spellings. Jamie Green's better vote is down there. And also some of the usuals, the people that vote wrong a lot.
So what do we have right now? Hotel tax, like a state tax only for the hotels?
This is a special local tax. I think it was for Kent County for some reason. Which,
it would add a local tax for a hotel, where right now we have what?
Yeah.
Doesn't it deal with Airbnbs too, though?
Probably.
Yeah, I think it had to do something with Airbnbs and people's personal properties and stuff like that.
Yeah. Anyway, the only reason I single out Angela Regas on this is because, she was one of those people who self-marketed as absolute hardcore Trumpster, MAGA, ultra MAGA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And these are the people who you hope when they actually get into office, they're going to, be the ones who are the ultra MAGA lawmakers. I'm not saying you have to throw bombs or anything, but just please at least vote.
Those are just words. They're just words, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry.
but going back.
You can see the progression of my like cynicism as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Like through the years.
Yeah. We have a long list of votes here tonight, folks, and they actually
Your email was really great. Like, if you don't subscribe to the Rescue Michigan emails, seriously, they're just a wealth of knowledge, and I use them in my everyday. Like, I want to be Adam's brain with emails.
Well, I'll tell you, it is frustrating having to actually record all of these things and to read all these damn bills, but there you go. Here's a funny one. This ruling of the chair. Tell you what, we have a clip of this. Actually, this is it's a pretty long clip. We don't have to watch the entire thing because it's part of its really bad floor speeches that I don't want to subject you guys to. But let's watch this video. And this is from. Hey, Phil says that was email's fantastic. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that.
I did. I texted Adam that same thing, Phil.
Oh, that's so funny, you guys.
I may borrow some of that for a text I'm going to send this week.
Seriously, that's the best.
It was such a good summary of what's going on in Lansing that that's simple versus like, look at all these bills. Yeah, I don't know. It was just.
Yeah, I do have the whole list at the bottom of the emails because I do think
that's not what I mean. That's too much detail. Yeah, I just want to be able to send it to people.
I think scanning through it, people are going to see like, oh my God, this is what their priorities are. But anyway, the purpose of all those is to give people the intellectual ammunition to go to war with these crazies. So now we're going to play a clip, and a lot of amazing things happen. This is a clip from after midnight Thursday night, so technically Friday morning. The House actually adjourned at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday to reconvene at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday. They had a midnight session the day before. Then they went back. So you can imagine how much Republicans love this. But first there's going to be some Democrats speechifying about this Green New Deal they want to pass. And just the stupidity is mind-boggling. So we'll look at that for a little bit. And then there was a procedural exchange. So we'll talk about that in a second. But here we go. We don't have to, it's not like when we do the cold opens where you won't see us. We're going to be watching the clip and comment as we're watching it. So here we go.
Good. Thanks for the heads up.
To open the door.
Let me start from the beginning here.
Are there further amendments? There being no further amendments, the question for the House is advancing the bill to the order of third reading. Hearing no objection, the bill is on third reading.
If people actually saw what's going on in Lansing.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm moving to the order of third reading of bills and take up calendar item number 181, Senate Bill 271.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will read. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayat.
And place it on its immediate passage.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will read.
Calendar item number 181, Senate Bill 271, a bill to amend the Clean and Renewable Energy and Energy Waste Reduction Act.
You have to keep your comments addressed. This is Representative Hill.
Oh, I hear all this. There's some nonsense going on here. Hold on. Let's watch this.
Representative, you have to keep your comments addressed to me. Turnaround's fair play. You can ask your other colleague. Speaker recognizes Representative Hill.
Today I rise because too many communities in my district have been impacted directly by climate change and decades-long underinvestment in our region's infrastructure. I've toured damaged roads.
This Lansing?
Talked to local.
This is in the House. Phil Knight asked, who is this woman? The first one was Lori Pahutsky, who's the Speaker pro tem, who represents Livonia, I believe.
Livonia, yeah.
And now we're hearing from Jen Hill, the genius
so this is Lansing.
who represents Marquette.
Okay.
This is at the Capitol. This was late Thursday night. And by the way, that little bit of banter at the beginning, there's been tons of that these past few days. There's all kinds of joking around from the Democrats as they're doing these things. But let's
because they're winning, quote unquote.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they have fun doing all these things and watching the Republicans squirm. But here we go. Let's hear a little bit from Jen Hill, who's a climate expert. And we're not going to play the whole thing because it's really long and really, really stupid. But here we go.
Business owners who've lost tens of thousands of dollars to flooding in our region. Last year, the UP 200 sled dog race was canceled for the first time because it rained for 24 hours
Build an
on
ark.
the first week of February.
Case closed.
This May, it snowed 30 inches and the roof of our women's center collapsed. Climate change is
And Marquette.
real, and it is an immediate threat to the well-being and economic
We got snow in
prosperity
Marquette?
of our
Wow.
state.
When
Yeah.
did we
It's
become so
time
vain that we
Michigan
could control the
does
weather?
its part to address climate change.
Because, well,
Governor Whitmer has committed to 100% clean energy standard for our state.
Anyway, this goes on for a while. I'm gonna
It's
skip
not a
ahead little bit.
matter of if. $1 million
Jay, you don't even know the beginning of
leaving
it.
our community.
Yeah, we'll come
As
back
we
to that thought in a
transition to
second.
clean energy, we need to lower costs.
I'm gonna skip ahead some
and
more until we get to the next part of this.
yeah,
This goes
come
on
on,
for like-
she's putting me to sleep.
We can reduce these costs
Imagine
with
what she's doing to the
affordable,
people
reliable,
in the
clean,
chamber.
renewable energy. It's not subject to the ups and downs of do as we have always done in Michigan, which
Okay, here we go.
Gonna-
Here's some more. Now, this is worth listening to, even though it's also ridiculously stupid, but it's also remarkable for its
Thank you.
arrogance. So here we go. This is
Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Majority Floor Leader Abraham Ayash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Last night, there was a lot of energy in this chamber, and I was listening to a lot of the talking points that my esteemed colleagues brought up, and I realized that climate changed, but unfortunately, the talking points have not.
Because you're still wrong
We
for
are
the same
still
reasons.
scared of the boogeyman, that somehow recognizing that climate change is real
We're scared of the
is
boogeyman.
gonna ruin our state. That somehow deciding to invest in
The
cleaning
people
our
that say
planet
the
up
world is gonna
and
end by
investing in
2020
reliable energy
are lecturing us
is
about
a
fear-mongering.
boogeyman tactic. It's a whole lot of hullabaloo. So I just wanted to think and reflect on what some of my colleagues have said. You know, one of my colleagues says this
Here
is
comes Sean
bad.
Rennie.
And I paused for a minute and I said, what could bad mean? So I thought about it this
He said
morning.
bad. he said,
And
he
I
said your bill is
think-
bad.
Bad probably means better and dependable.
This is, first of all, the weakest straw man argument ever. He said it was bad. Let me tell you why it's good. And then his answer is, I guess bad means good. To these, I mean, this is mind-bogglingly stupid. These are people that represent tens of thousands of Michiganders in the legislature. But here we go. This
Better
continues.
and dependable because that's what the legislation before us this week has done. We have an opportunity in the state of Michigan to transition to clean, renewable energy, and we are doing it in a way that actually considers costs.
Horses and
If
down
folks
roads.
read the bill, Madam Speaker, guess what's in it?
Read
For the
the bill
first
that was
time
just
ever,
now-
our
just
Public
now
Service
amended with the
Commission that is
substitutes that nobody had the
responsible for
opportunity to read.
overseeing the authority around our power have to consider the word affordable. Now, when I first started working on this legislation, I was shocked. I said,
Where's
holy
this guy
smokes,
from?
we have a Democratic
Dearborn.
majority that wants to consider things like affordability and climate change and environmental justice.
Yeah, if we say it's
And
more affordable, wind and solar
been
are
talking to
affordable.
folks
Never
across
mind,
the
like,
state,
you know,
And I can
any
tell you,
actual facts
no
about
one
this.
is happy with their utility rates.
Buzzwords.
I, for one, am
Oh,
definitely one
yeah,
of
I
those
mean, it's
people.
all just ridiculous lies
In fact,
and gibberish.
in Michigan, some of us pay some of the highest rates in the country with the most unreliable power ever.
No shit.
How
And here's
are
the
we
thing,
going to
Madam
fix
Speaker.
that?
We import 100% of our coal and over 90% of our natural gas here in Michigan. So if this energy actually worked, and
By
we
the
did
way,
all
we're-
this work of bringing it here,
It's worth pointing out, by the way, and the Democrats all know this, and the ones in Lansing know this. The reason why Michigan's energy is so high is because we have a monopoly cartel, and they actually get more profits the more expensive energy is.
Yep.
That's the biggest reason. And they spent millions and
And
millions
then-
of dollars on politics
then they go-
in the last cycle on
Yes.
And
Democrats.
they advertise like we have a choice. They have an
Right.
advertising budget.
And then they go to
Yeah.
Lansing and they pay these people to be mouthpieces for them, telling us that it's going to be affordable when it's not. making it even more bigger than a monopoly. It's insane.
Yeah, there was a big story a couple of weeks ago. The Democrats got something like $2 million from DTE right after they got elected. And the first thing they do is, hey, let's do this bill. It'll just so happens it'll give them even more profits, because the more costs, the more profits. That's the way it works. But, you know, Gary Glenn fought about this, and they destroyed his career with their special interest spending and their lies. And then of course, by the way, back in the day, one of the big sponsors of the Mackinac Conference was GTE, but that's no more. They make a lot more money with the Democrats because renewable energy is money in their pockets. It is guaranteed higher profits for them, period. That's the end of the story. But anyway, let's go. By the way, one of the other things that happened that we're not going to see here, but this one Democrat, Dylan Wegela, introduced an amendment that got shot down because apparently one of the amended version of the bills now defines natural gas as clean energy. So he introduced an amendment saying unnatural gas is not clean energy, because he was so upset it's not entirely going to be wind and solar, which was completely insane and impossible. So the utilities got that amendment in. So anyway, Wegela did not get his amendment through because the Democrats were like, fuck you, this is part of the deal. And of course he voted for it anyway. But anyway, all right, let's let this guy finish off, and then we'll get to an interesting procedural exchange. But here we go.
Why have we seen the impacts of this fossil fuel energy? The reality is, Madam Speaker, it's because the world has shifted. We actually have more affordable ways to power our homes. You see, later today, the sun is going to shine and the wind is going to blow. And while I'm not a physicist or a scientist, and I'm sure so many of my colleagues inspired me to think about going into that career with how much information they shared.
Oh, you mean they actually cited facts from journals, from physicists, like actual people? That's what he just said. He said, I don't know what I'm talking about, but obviously my colleagues who have just been bowling me over with information, and it inspired me to try to become one so I can understand it all. That's what he basically just said. But here we go.
I just paused for a second and thought, why are we going to get in the way of creating so many clean energy jobs? Michigan has an opportunity right now with this legislation to set a plan to, number one, allow our state to open the door for businesses and say all the clean technology that is in all the other states can come settle right here in the Great Lakes state. All the energy,
I promise you, they will not open the energy market to anybody from other states.
Can actually be made right here in Michigan. And I don't want to belabor the point. I know it's late or early, depending on how we want to frame it.
Did you hear that?
But I just want to level set
I'm going to go back
where
to
we are going to be as...
That was a funny remark you just made.
I know it's late or early, depending on how we want to frame it, but
it's late or early depending on how we want to frame it. That's the Democrats in a nutshell right there, guys.
That's exactly it. That's beautiful.
Whatever we say is the reality.
Guys, and they win. So
yeah. All right. Anyway,
I just want to level set.
All right, that's enough. I think that's all I had from him.
You're in Detroit, or the
blather on for a while.
That allows that is cleaner.
What happens next?
A record roll call vote is required. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will open the board. Speaker recognizes Representative Coons.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. Per Rule 31, I would like to recluse myself from a vote on SB 271.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you.
Enough.
Close enough. You hear that little sniping right there? Because he kind of stumbled over the words. But that's not it. It's not. We're getting to this in a second here. So the votes are coming in. The votes are coming in. This won't take long, trust me.
Was this the...
This is the vote on passage, but it's about to get suspended in a moment here.
Speaker recognizes Minority Floor Leader Postumus.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Based on criteria for a conflict of interest under Section 522 and 232.6 of Mason's Manual, I'm challenging the propriety of a vote being cast on this bill by the member from the 38th District. I request a ruling from the chair regarding whether the member from the 38th House District should be allowed to vote on this bill.
This is a member who owns a solar company, a Democrat, whose vote they absolutely need right now because they only have 56 votes. What do you suppose they'll do? The honorable thing?
Per our rules, it is up to the member's purview to determine whether or not they have a conflict of interest. I suggest you take it up with that member.
Okay, he's now appealed the ruling of the chair. Tell you what, you guys know what's going to happen next. The ruling of the, by the way, here's the article. Let me pull this up right now. This is the story. Representative Joey Andrews, by the way, one of the most narrow races in the state last year. The St. Joseph area, Benton Harbor area, owns a company, Parasol Solar, who's also vice chairman of the House Energy Committee, by the way. And his sister is a lobbyist for the solar industry, according to the Detroit News.
Fantastic.
Who is also his campaign treasurer, by the way. So, I mean, black and white, conflict of interest. So naturally, 100% of Democrats voted to uphold the ruling of Lori Putski, which was to take it up with a colleague, not even a straight up no. And of course, then they all voted unanimously to pass it. So that's the Democrats for you right there. Every single thing they do is blatantly unethical. Doesn't matter how black and white it is, but that's how they operate. So there you go. That was at 1 o'clock in the morning on late Thursday or early Friday, depending on how the
However
Democrats
you want to frame it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, Lisa says, one of the only times Tisdale and Kuhn haven't voted with the Democrats since they've been in. That's right, Lisa. I'll go back. I didn't mean to click on it, but I'll put Jamie's comment back on. They still can't get the Prop 1 transparency package passed. Yeah, speaking of Kuhn and Tisdale, because that also happened recently, there was this vote, in case anyone was wondering about. By the way, remember we were talking about this a couple weeks ago when a number of House Republicans had this genius idea that they would introduce a bill to implement a federal gun ban. And supposedly, this is my one of the state reps in my county, Kathy Schmaltz, co-sponsored it. Matt Hall, minority leader, sponsored it. Some 3D chess move to get the Democrats not to pass their misdemeanor gun ban bill. Well, guess what? It passed, and let's see. Hold on. Where's the number here? There we go. See how they voted, 58 to 52. And there they are. Kuhn, Tisdale. Sorry, Amber. Sorry to bring grief on you for this, because that's Troy and Rochester. But there they are. And there's more, by the way. This wasn't the only one. There was, what else was there? I mean, there's a lot of stupid things here. Let's see. What do we have here? Let's see here.
What did that do?
It bans you from owning a firearm for 8 years if you're convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence, which, by the way, people plead to just because they have to if they're charged with felonies, and they're often not even related offenses. I mean, that's kind of common in courts, honestly. But so there was that. Here's a lovely bill: criminalize intimidating election officials. Which obviously, if you're calling it committing a crime, that did pass on a partisan basis. The Republicans managed to get their act together for that one. Here's an interesting one. Criminalize materially deceptive political ads. Well, gee, I wonder what Data Nessa will do with that authority. Oh, if it's materially deceptive, well, that's a question for a jury at trial. Right. Let's just charge your campaign with a felony. Right. How many Republicans voted for these bills? Well, there's a bunch of them. Well, they go with these other bills too, mandating disclaimers if they use AI content. But here's, I have to wonder who the two people are that voted yes on one and no on the other, because they're the same bill. I think they're probably even tie-barred. They can't take effect if they don't both pass.
I mean, materially deceptive. Prop 2 ads were materially deceptive the whole freaking time last year. So it's like, what?
Yep, of course.
And by the time they get there and get charged with it, the damage has already been done.
Yeah.
So what do they hope
only Republicans
to
will be charged? No kidding. That's exactly the problem. This, by the way, when this becomes a law, someone's going to have to file a federal lawsuit to make a 1983 claim and get this thing overturned. But here you go. Bill G. Schuette, whose dad was Attorney General of Michigan, voted yes, as if he didn't understand what this would do. And of course, you got the usual Mike Mueller, Beerline, and Bagol, who, yeah, I mean, these are guys that vote the Democrats all the time.
I don't know. Mila did okay on a couple votes recently. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He
Anyway,
touches Oakland too, a little bit.
yeah. Lisa says, Kuhn literally lives in my neighborhood. I let him know 2 days ago, disappointed my husband. I am also explaining himself to his constituents. Won't hold my breath. Hopefully, have a primary challenger. Hey, hopefully, Lisa, maybe you should do it if you can find somebody. And seriously, folks, let's. By the way, we are now.
Okay, well
Remember, it is the 5th of November. The gunpowder treason and plot. And we're exactly 1 day from Election Day 2024. 366
1 year.
days.
1 year.
Yeah. I didn't like that movie so much in retrospect. V for Vendetta. I don't know what you guys thought of that movie. That was a movie. So November 5th, for those who don't know their Republican history, that was the day in 2007 that Ron Paul raised like $4 million in 1 day. And that was the first money bomb in any campaigns. $4 million was a lot of campaign money in those days. And it was very, very obviously inspired by the V for Vendetta movie. And, you know, the whole, I think there may have been a subtext about, you know, people bringing the truth about false flag operations and stuff like that. But if you go back and watch the V for Vendetta movie, it's kind of a fucked up message. I mean, first of all, you've got Mr. Superhero, the only guy that's going to, huh?
Oh, it is. I agree. It's messed up.
Yeah, you've got this guy who, I mean, first of all, you have this very, very obviously fascist government that is like telling us, like, this is what fascism looks like, not the actual sophisticated, subtle stuff that it really is, but it's like this in-your-face tyranny. And then this like magical superhero guy kidnaps and tortures a woman for some reason, which seems to have no reason for doing anything, and then he saves the world by blowing up the House of Parliament. I mean, it's kind of a, I don't know, kind of an anarchistic, nasty message in my opinion. But anyway, it was an awesome
anarchist. Yeah.
Yeah. But that said, it was apparently inspiring for a lot of people, and that was kind of a thing for a while. The money bomb used to be everybody was trying to emulate the whole money bomb thing. People have given up on that. It was magic that only worked one other time, and that was Constitution Day in 2007. But anyway, November 5th,
We
folks,
can get
here we
really good at social media messaging and reels and all that kind of crazy crap. Our message could get out there better. We're just not good at it.
Yeah. Fred says Macomb County won't be supporting Kuhn in the next election. Cool. Hopefully they get someone better on the Republican side to replace him, because otherwise you're getting a Democrat in that seat. But, you know, we've talked about the lesser of evil stuff. I'm not going to go over it again tonight. It's a burden that we just have to bear. Yeah, Mindy says, will Macomb run a third-party candidate? Who knows? You can't really control that. It just kind of happens whether you like it or
I
not.
don't want to talk about primarying open candidates.
I know you don't.
It's just something I can't talk about.
Then you don't have to. Thank you for being a trooper, being on our show, though.
I love this show. I feel like, oh my gosh, we should do like a "Where Are We Now" like segment from when I started politics 3 years ago to now, and like, there's still hope, people. But we gotta get our crap together.
The big question for every one of our viewers is, where are you now compared to where we were a year ago? Have you knocked on doors in your precinct? Have you recruited some more volunteers? Have you done a hit piece on your local or any Democrat targets anywhere? You know, how many people have you brought in? I mean, these are the numbers that make the difference. And
that's the metrics.
We have an election. We have an election coming up in 2 days. I have a whole phone banking operation going on Tuesday to get out the vote. And you can.
I wanted to ask you about that. Why are you doing it the day of instead of the day before?
I did it. Yeah, I mean, we did it on Saturday. We do it the day of it, the day before. We'll be running stuff the day before
we're
too.
doing it tomorrow. That's why I'm wondering. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I mean, it's just reminders. Get out the vote. Calls. Hey, you have 8 hours. Hey, you have 4 hours. Hey, get to the polls and go vote for these people.
Yeah. If a campaign has the
doing
resources,
stuff forever.
The idea is you get daily updates from the clerks with the absentee voter list and who's turned in their absentee ballots, who's requested one. You contact everyone who's got an absentee ballot out in the field. You ask them why they haven't returned it yet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, it all comes down to how many resources you have, and it's really hard to do. It's
hard to do. We did that last week.
We have I-360, not to rub it in anybody's faces,
We
but
have it too.
it gives us it gives us daily reminders of who still has their outstanding ballots. They're a
Yep.
day behind, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I mean, there's
still
lots of
right
automated
there. We're
systems
just
that'll
waiting
do
on
that.
these clerks. These clerks play games. They don't want to give the report.
Oh, for sure,
They give
they're
you a
playing
PDF
games.
instead of an Excel file. Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I had somebody contact
Sick
me who
pack
said their
out.
neighbor requested an absentee ballot and then they didn't show up on the absentee voter file. I'm like, well, ask them to contact the clerk or something. I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, these games are happening, and you know,
Oh
the
yeah,
early
I know
people
that
to check
story.
it, the
I'm
better.
trying to get to the bottom of that with Brian, because
Yeah.
I-360 should. They know it has a date. Like, they should know what date it's marked as returned.
Right.
I want to understand that process. So if they get it, I-360 gets it from the Secretary of State. So do the clerks have to report every day to the Secretary of State?
I think that's what it is.
And then okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's all centralized. It used to be you had to sometimes go to every single municipal clerk in your district to run it, but now it's all done centrally. By the way, I just really have got a number of comments on Rumble to catch up on, and also Randy on
Like
Facebook
and share, like and share.
oh yeah. Oh, is it time? All right, yeah, let's
No,
do
I
that.
don't know. It's something you got to do in the middle sometimes.
It's a good idea.
Are you saying that for YouTube purposes?
I have to tell Adam because he needs
always
to be
forget.
reminded. He likes to be reminded.
I always forget to
Oh,
hit
that's
that like button.
hilarious. I
Because-
didn't know we were doing that now. That is so, when YouTube artists do that in the middle of their thing, it's
Well, they do it because it works.
Smash the like button. That's what Tim Pool says. Smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
My computer is gonna die, and I should probably go be a mom. But this was fun.
It's 2 days in a
like
row.
it.
I get to see you.
I know, lucky me. So yes, come to the OCRP office. We have recalls going on in our county right now.
And if you're in Wayne County, don't cross 8 Mile. You come and you help us. How's that?
There you go. Yes, but we're right now. There's a recall for Kelly Breen and a recall for Noah Arbitz.
Cool.
I don't know what that's gonna look like. I'm not hindering it in any way though, and any support you could give and lend to recall efforts would be great. I feel really strongly that there's no strategy behind it. And it's just mass chaos. And I'm so sick and tired of mass chaos and no strategy. And I think 3 years into this, I'm realizing that there's a lot of strategy that goes into this. It goes into absentee ballot chases, it goes into door knocking, and there has to be some strategy, or we're just launched into darkness all the time. So, recall efforts, Noah Arbit, Kelly Breen, come check it out. What help do you need, Amber? Thank you, Lisa. So get in contact with me. I can help you get to the leads of those campaigns. Who are heading it up, and they will direct you on where they need to go door knock or where they're going to be at for recall efforts. I am helping them as much as I can with data, and as much as they need people, I will direct everybody that I can to them, because it's going to be the only game in town after the election. Right now, I've been so hyper-focused on our elections because we have a bajillion of them, that after this, and if they want it recalled, Arbit and Kelly Breen, then directing efforts to go get signatures there.
Yeah.
I know, Mindy. I know.
Yeah, Mindy says recalls open the floodgates for more Democrat money. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If you're going to do a recall
Even at
campaign
that level?
or anything higher, the first question is how many millions of dollars do you have to spend on this?
Even at that level, they do, not just governor, like everywhere. They're allowed to keep.
Once you do the recall efforts, it removes caps.
Yeah.
Yep.
The theory is the recall campaign can spend unlimited, so therefore the candidate can too.
Even school board, I wonder. Because we
Probably.
have one for school board right now. We have one for school board right now in Plymouth Canton.
Yeah. Yeah, Mindy said exactly. Why spend gobs of money on recalls when it could be spent on the campaigns? Yeah.
Because we like to look backwards. That's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, I could understand like with one seat majority in the House that knocking out one Democrat would be worth doing. But you know, someone came up to us with a recall campaign a few months ago and they're like, we want to recall 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans. It's like,
it's the
crazy.
same campaign.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
they came in like a wrecking ball to Oakland County.
Yeah.
And we're so fragile And really, we just have to touch voters and change their minds because we are on the right side instead of muddying the water with other slander. I think we just approach them with love. And I know that sounds hippy dippy, but we just have to embrace them and show them stuff like you're being duped. And whether that's doing it with the recalls with no arbit and stuff, and that helps people realize they're being duped, that's great. But again, we don't have a viable candidate lined up that can raise that kind of money to go against arbit, and that's where we get stuck. I mean, there's great people that have heart that want to go against arbit, but heart and money aren't going to get the social media backings that you need to combat it with the voters. So that's
Cool.
how I feel. Yeah, it's great.
Mark Ashley Price says, Adam Patty, neighbor for office. That's very kind of you, Mark. I certainly appreciate it. But we also need campaign staff too. And, you know, the thing about running for office is until you get there, you're basically a piece of flesh. You are the product, and you need people that are running the operations, running the campaign. I have a saying, run, do not walk away from any campaign where the candidate or the spouse is the campaign manager. And the reality is there's other roles for us here. And if I was to run for office, I would have to, first of all, stop doing Rescue Michigan, which ain't happening. And it would put me in a lesser position than it would be to work on other things from other directions. That's just the reality. We all have our positions to play. And
I made the joke of we don't have a 11th candidate right now for Congress. I made the joke of if I had to be a sacrificial lamb to go against Haley Stevens, that might be interesting. But that was just a joke. But that would be interesting though, because I'm already everywhere in Oakland County. I could help my ticket. It would be interesting. But no, I would never run for office.
I'd be having to say things I wouldn't want to say. That's just not, it's not something I personally can do. And everything I've ever said in the show would be used against me, which is also not a very good idea.
There are workhorses and there are show horses.
That's awesome. Shane calls me a workhorse all the time.
Right?
Like
or plow horse. You can call it plow horse and a show horse, whatever you want, right? There are people who are candidates and there are people who are behind the scenes.
Yep. All right. I'll move on to one more topic before.
That's a good idea, Ron. Yeah. We got stuff planned for next year.
Yeah, I've got
planned. I had 2 conversations.
I'll
the
be
problem is, Ron, I will tell you, you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it, until you need to know it, and it's too late to actually implement it. And that is just so hard in politics. Like 3 years into it, I'm like finally starting to get a rhythm, but probably another year into it, I'll be burnt out. And that's the problem with politics. You get so burnt out.
Yeah. Mindy asks, Christina Caramo is a ... show horse. Well, that's a good segue into our next topic, Mindy. Christina Caramo is.
And you're welcome, Ron. I saw something from Ron.
My computer's gonna die. Oh,
dead
wow.
Plug it in. Do you have electricity in your house?
It's upstairs. You know what? Because the Dems are gonna like jack on my electricity bills, I'm starting now to like scale back. But this is great. Before I get another harassing email because I'm beating up on Caramo and I'm a rhino and I'm grassroots and I can't win with anybody, I'm just gonna cut this short now.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Great talking to you as always. So, on the Christina thing, there hasn't been much news from this. Christina's a glue horse. That's mean. But in all seriousness, I mean, a couple of things have happened this week.
You're a 5. You're Randy Guppy.
Nothing has happened as far as any kind of explanation or any kind of corrective action since that big data breach that we've talked about multiple times now from the Mackinac conference, which I think is telling. I mean, apparently the party is claiming that Christina saying some things in Macomb County on video counts as some kind of notification.
I don't understand. It's like these little games of telephone. Like we're all supposed to get the message.
Yeah.
Someone be a good communicator. That was in general. Everybody,
all the precinct delegates. Isn't that good enough? I'm like, First of all, not even Mackinac Commerce attendees a precinct delegate. Secondly,
3 most unreliable sources are
just watch a 90-minute video.
Someone, they said, and I heard. Those are the 3 most unreliable sources we have, right?
Yeah.
People want to rely on that instead of going and like confirming it for themselves, or the person who's responsible needs to clearly send the message.
Yeah. Well, now, speaking of unreliable sources, however, I did get this email this week. I actually have gotten 2 from this thing, but this is the first one. And this is an email that came in, I think, on Monday, something like that, from this new fake organization. And this is the lovely design of the email. Obviously, this is an intimidation. This is dark and spooky from something called MIGOP News. P.O. Box 1234, Lansing, Michigan. That sounds authentic. I'm sure
That's the same people that have been sending emails.
Is it the same? I mean, I can't.
Yeah, MIGOP. Yeah, it's the one that sent the one today.
I got one from them today too. Which
it's the same. It's the MIGOP info.
Is it the same as MIGOP Watch? I mean, I don't know. I mean, all these fake organizations that keep track of them.
No, this is not fake. I mean, we know who.
Well, I mean, it's definitely fake. It's just maybe it's the same as these other ones too. Yeah, Randy says lots of truth in that email. Well, maybe so, but here's the thing about this, and this is what pisses me off. So, I mean, there's these links to these clips from the video, which some of it was kind of handy because I wasn't going to watch this 90-minute video with Christina to have some clips. But, you know, this was actually the main thrust of this email. But after those little clips was this concerning revelation that our new treasurer failed to submit the required corrections to the Secretary of State by the given deadline. Now, this was actually the subject of some emails going back and forth within the state party, like earlier in that same day before this email came out. And basically a couple of things. One is that according to the state party, the Bureau of Elections is actually in the wrong on this, and they did sign this document. So the complaint, apparently, the story is that they submitted the report on time, but they didn't sign something within that report. Therefore, it was not authentic. Therefore, it wasn't received on time. Therefore, you're in trouble, blah, 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 blah. Fred says, why give anonymous sources any commentary? Well, I'll show you why by the reason why I bring this up. But let me get to where I'm going with this, Fred. So this appears to be a nothing burger, basically. And as someone in the state committee pointed out, even read in the worst way possible, you know, failing to sign at the bottom of a campaign report is like the most correctable, least serious campaign finance mistake there is. In other words, it's a big fat nothing burger. But this just goes on and blah, 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 blah. By the way, all this stuff it's written in the first person. I trust this message finds you committed to the blah, blah, blah. I've attached several clips to shine a light on. I want you to hear. Who's this me person talking? Warm regards, the majority of Michigan Republicans. This is some stupid shit. And I can tell you for a fact this was written by a Republican consultant because it takes a Republican consultant to use the weakest arguments possible. That's it right there. That's the fingerprints of a Republican consultant using the weakest arguments you can. What are they going after Christina for? Oh, not the, you know, the data leak and the covering that up and the $110,000 missing and blah, blah. No, they're going after a scrivener's error on a campaign filing. This is a Republican hack operation. And this stuff doesn't help, folks. This is why I bring this up. Because whoever's doing this, they think they're attacking Christina. They ain't helping. They're hurting. You know, because, I mean,
they ain't helping. They're hurting what? They're
hurting people that have legitimate concerns about Christina. Okay. Like, I'm going to be pushing for a resolution about her at our next GOP meeting. And the pushback we're going to get is, this is all part of this conspiracy from all these people that just have a political axe to grind with Christina for their own benefit. This is
that's the pushback we got. We brought that resolution up just for discussion.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it got, well, you were there.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about it at our meeting this Thursday. And, you know, my point was, I was looking at the resolution. I was thinking, well, should we bring in the stuff about what they're doing in Kalamazoo County and Wayne County? Should we bring in the stuff about the $110,000 donation that turned out to actually be a loan, the conflict of interest, because apparently it was the executive director's wife who gave him that money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what
I was thinking about it though, in the Wayne County stuff, like if they do go through with it, I just think it's kind of like full circle or kind of hilarious because the people who are behind it are the ones that peddled their lies from Ann Arbor to downriver and all over Wayne County about me and Matt and how power hungry we were.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's the opposite.
Yeah. And anyway, so that's why what I came up with was the resolution's got to be clean as possible. It needs to be about the breach, the grading of these Mackinac Conference members, and the complete pathetic cover-up that came up after that. Everything else is just more complexity, more confusion, more annoying. It's so gossipy that Joe Moss, I don't even know who Joe Moss is or what this is about. And stuff about maladministration. That's not grounds for impeachment or removal, folks. This is a problem that we keep falling into the stupid trap. Being a bad leader is not grounds for removal. If it was, every single Republican Party leader would have been thrown out of office for as long as I've been involved in the party. At least they should have been. But no, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You have to cleave closely to the material, provable breaches of duty, breaches of ethics, things of that nature. This stuff doesn't help. So if any of these stupid consultants are watching, knock this shit off, guys. You're not helping us. You're hurting us. You're helping Christina stay in office is what you're actually doing. All this shady, anonymous, P.O. Box 1234 bullshit is helping Christina stay in office. And if Christina had the help to do something like this intentionally, I would think she would. I know she doesn't have that kind of help, so I know it's not a false flag. It is you guys. So knock this shit off because you guys are dumb and you're not helping. All right, that's all I want to say on that. That's all we got for this week on Christina. So there you go. All right, guys. Is there anything else to talk about? I think I've covered a lot of things.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm typing a Google form. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm about done. I did see there was some things.
Just heard that the district convention on March 2nd is in Detroit.
I've heard that too.
Which district? Which district?
The district caucuses. For some reason, they have to be all in the same location. Remember, they're supposed to be all within the congressional district, but now for some reason they say they have to be all in one place, so they're going to be in Detroit.
As well as in Detroit? Really?
Yeah.
Have they ever done that? Is it usually Lansing or Grand Rapids for these kind of things?
Sometimes. I remember at least one state convention.
So essentially, though, it's how do you hear these things, Paula, and I don't hear these things? Am I not getting the right emails?
I heard about it from somebody. I can't remember. It might have been Paula, actually, but I'm not sure.
Oh, well, maybe they're still going to Matt. Maybe they haven't transferred to my email address yet. So, yeah, I know.
We're
still transitioning.
Fred says, what is the role of the medical examiner in late term abortions? To pronounce it dead? I don't know.
Ugh, gross. Come on.
I don't know where that question came from, but there you go, out of the blue there.
So it's it's a convention, but not a convention? I don't get it. So who's paying for this? The district caucuses?
The individual districts have to somehow? I don't know. And by the way, I'm looking at some of the chats on Rumble. A lot of these are from way back in the beginning, talking about
state committee meeting on December 2nd is in Redford.
That
really?
Could be the state committee. I don't know. I'm not in the state committee, so I don't know.
That's what I mean. Sorry. That's the Big Ten championship game. That's the Big Ten championship game.
But it's in Wayne County, interestingly, where Jim Kopis is from, where Ann Clark is from. Interestingly. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say about
I didn't think about that. That's part of their master plan to get more of their own people there.
Yeah. By the way, I was thinking about that.
Whatever.
Again. That leaked list, because one of the things that was in that video, that statement from Christina and from Joel Studebaker, I guess his name is, because a week and a half after the leak and everything, they got their story together and said, no, the list was authentic, but there was no number. Some evil outside actor added those numbers in. I was looking at the numbers and I got to thinking about this. And here's why I know that's not true. Because the numbers were like 44 people got a 1. Remember the good Republican volunteer? Like 44 people got a score of 1. 15 some people got a score of 2. 400 people got a score of 3. And I think like 30 or 40 or 50 people got a score of 4. Now, if you were these shadowy Republican consultants, I don't know, Jason Rowe or whoever you are, and you were the ones that made up those numbers, the easy thing to do would be just make up a bunch of 4s. Just give a bunch of people 4s. You piss off more people. That's what they would do. But that's not what happened. Instead, the ones in 4s are like people that a few of those volunteers know personally. None of these, because there's a lot of people on that list that, the consultants would know, like, oh, here's someone that should get a 4. Heather Lombardini, president of Sterling Corporation, runs the SRCC effectively. Give her a 4. Piss off the donors. You know, no, none of that happened. All these rhinos in Lansing, a bunch of them went to the Mackinac conference. Ken Borton, he got a 3. Why not give him a 4? Make more donors angry. That would be what they would do if they were actually behind that. But no, I mean, I think it's exactly what it looks like. The list leaked. They ranked people, and that's all there is to it. It's exactly as it appears. Paula says each presidential candidate has to pay between $15,000 and $20,000 to be on our ballot. Whose ballot? Says who? You're talking about the state party, the state convention primary? They're gonna try that. That's amazing. That might be a real problem, actually. Did the state party approve that? That's bizarre. Let me put this up again. This is definitely not true for the taxpayer funded primary, because we have very, very, very low requirements on that and that money. So the party apparently is demanding $15,000 to $20,000 to be on the Michigan. I don't think they can do that, because first off, the Apollo says yes, and the RNC. Okay, well, if the RNC is behind it, maybe there's some merit to it. It's strange though, because here's the thing. You know, when you have a district caucus, which is effectively a convention, guess how that works? The delegates make the rules, and if the delegates amend the rules of the convention to say that everybody who they want to have listed as an eligible candidate, that's what they're going to do. That's how that goes. The state party can set rules. The district caucus can set rules too. And what are they going to do? They'll have no remedy. So, they refuse to answer any questions about this plan. Well, whatever. At the end of the day, this is money that campaigns probably should be able to afford. It's not going to save the state party either, by the way. That's not a lot of money. So there you go. Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's good to know. We'll see how that goes. By the way, who cares? You know, I mean, it's Trump and a bunch of also-rans. So what are they going to do? They're going to get $10,000 out of Donald Trump. Whoop-de-doo. All right, guys. I think that's all I've got for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. Oh, and once again, remember, hit that like button, hit that share button. Oh, wait, hold on. Amber's not here anymore. We can go there. That's better. remember to hit that like button, share this around, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will be back, not on Wednesday, not covering that debate. But who knows? Who knows? We'll talk about more at some point next time. But all right. Thank you guys, as always, for all you for liberty. Until next time. Hey, by the way, we got through the stream without any technical problems, because man, what a disaster that was on Wednesday. That was very frustrating.
Like I said, I didn't get a notification. I didn't even know you went live on Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as I went live, all kinds of crazy stuff started happening. I started hearing feedback in my headphones, and I couldn't hear Shane. And it just the whole thing drove me crazy. And I spent as much time doing that as anything else. And I eventually just had to let Shane go. I was like, I'm sorry, man. I can't.
Mayoral races. Right, what do you mean, Jamie?
I don't know. In my county, we have only a couple.
Like Tuesday, you mean? Is she talking about this week?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Tuesday's election day, folks.
Tuesday's election day. If you are in the Wayne 6th or anywhere else and you're not working on something, you can email me, PlymouthPatty@protonmail.com.
Warren.
And we will.
Oh, Lori Stone, is she leaving? Is that the idea? Vote for Lori Stone so she gets out of Lansing as quickly as possible.
We have city elections in Flat Rock, Rockwood, and Plymouth.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Now that you mentioned that,
I mean some other ones, but that's where we have candidates.
Yeah. Speaking of that, though, I do have one more thing I'm going to touch on very briefly, because you did just remind me about something, and that is one of the bills that got introduced this past week. I saw some Republicans put this thing in. Why can't I have trouble sharing this? Share screen. Here we go. Couple of minor bills, and if any of our viewers happen to be co-sponsored this bill, I'm not going to make a stink about this. I'm not going to hold it against you, but there's a couple of bills. Oh yeah. By the way, some other new bills they put in: allow X first as sex designation on your driver's license, state ID, and birth certificate. There you go. Lovely. These are the ones I'm talking about, though. Kuhn and Steele introduced these two bills, imposing rules in a future legislature, creating things about legislative procedure and crap like that. A past legislature can't bind a future one, guys. These are not going to have any effect. So maybe you're going to get your top line messaging out of it. It's not going to matter at all. And another hate crimes bill. This one has a very weak disclaimer at the bottom that misgendering people does not count as a hate crime, which doesn't actually really matter, by the way. It still has the perception stuff. Okay, Jamie says, if those two state reps win, Jamie, I'm sorry, I can't tell what you meant to say there. If they win their mayoral races, then they will no longer be in Lansing, I guess is the idea. And then they'll be out, and then
The
they'll
one
be
guy
out
in
of,
Westland or Garden City, one of them.
and then they'll be out of
No.
office until they
The
have a
guy
special
that's
election.
he's got the corner of Canton and Westland.
Coleman. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they win and they go away, then they'll be done for several months. Thank God. Yeah. That would explain the furious pace behind all the bills going on this week. So I guess that's what's going on. You know, Westland is Coleman, and I guess Warren is the other one, Lori Stone. So there you go. All right, guys, that'll do it for us for this week. Go out and vote Tuesday if you have an election. Not everyone's got an election on Tuesday, but some
Not
people
everyone
do.
does, but help out if you can. Make some phone calls, reach out to people. I know in Wayne 6, we've sent texts for all our candidates. We've called, and we're going to do that all again tomorrow.
Awesome. All right, thanks guys for tuning in. Until next time, thanks for all you do for liberty.